The clock is now running on the Playbook podcast, the podcast where you take a deeper dive into the game of business, leadership, teamwork, character, the things that drive your motivation and build dedication. When you get a good look at the game plan of great business leaders, you start to formulate your own playbook and your own rise to the top. Make your next play your best play. And now, here are today's game captains, Glenn Amorell and Andy Phillips. Let's go!
Welcome back to the Playbook. I'm Andy Phillips. Joining me, as always, my partner in pod, Glenn Amorell. Glenn, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
Doing well. We got a lot of snow recently, so I'm glad I'm not outside shoveling. I'd much rather be on a screen with you.
I know, right? It was snowing this morning. I can't believe it.
I know. I'll be back out there after work, I'm sure. So we have a great guest today, one you know very, very well. So before we get into him, let's get into our pregame warm-ups. I got a question for you, Glenn. Our job is very non-routine. It's every day seems to be different. However, you have to somehow keep yourself organized. So that tells me you probably at least have a morning routine. What's your morning routine?
Well, the first thing is coffee. You know that, right? I go downstairs, I start the coffee, and get to talk to my wife a little bit before she leaves for work. And when I'm working from home, she thinks I go back to bed. You know, when you work from home.
I assume you do too.
Right, exactly. It's like, and when the boss calls, I'm like, hey, you just woke me up from my nap. So I try to, read something to get me on the right path, something positive. And then I just start checking emails and get right into it. And once I'm up, I'm ready to work. So that's kind of the direction I go.
I like it.
So I got a question for you to warm up a little bit. And I'm going to stick with the theme here with, since we have Charles Waterman today, is what's in your closet? I see what's on your wall, but what's in your closet?
Believe it or not, there's clothes. No, so I outside of clothes, I'm trying to think of anything that'd be unique. I guess we have a second closet that my wife and I share, and in that one we keep our safe. And my suits I keep hanging up in that one, but it's very standard. Clothes hanging up. I keep my dresser out of the closet. I have that in the main room, and I got some shoes lined on the ground. I prefer to say nicely, but I'm sure my wife would argue that they're not always lined up nicely.
Right. I try.
It's a fairly normal closet. So yeah.
Well, the problem I have is I had Closets by Design do my closets, but my wife keeps taking more and more of those closets. So
it must be a good product.
But she's happy, so that's a great thing.
There you go.
So I'd like to introduce our guest today is my friend Charles Waterman, who's the owner of Closets by Design of Pennsylvania and Delaware. Charles, good morning, and thank you for joining our podcast. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning. My pleasure. Well, first of all, I want to clarify, Andy, whereabouts is that safe located? Which closet was that?
It's actually at a different address. I didn't clarify the closet was in my house. So
okay. All right. The combination is okay.
The key.
Little about myself.
Find.
We've been doing closets for about 15 years here. And the name is Closets by Design, but we actually do custom cabinetry for any area of the home with the exception of kitchen. So it could be a Murphy bed, it could be a mudroom, it could be a garage, it could be a home office, which of course is pretty popular right now. Everybody working from home. In closets, yeah, that's probably 60% of the business. One thing that we do with that people don't know about is the fact that we send our designers in that are trained and certified through us, and they actually go through your wardrobe with you and through your morning routine or your evening routine of getting ready for work for the next day, and lay out the area so it's more functional for you. Separate the clothing so in the morning you feel a little more put together with what you have quickly at your fingertips to your jacket, your skirt, your accessories, hosiery, undergarments, whatever. It's right there. It's like you're on a dressing boutique right there in your closet. So our customers have a little more time for an extra cup of coffee and time to either get kids out the door or to get them onto their Zoom classroom. So whatever it may be.
Well, that's great, Charles. Now, this year has been a challenging year for everybody, but you had some additional challenges. You just built a state of the art 60,000 square foot building, and as soon as it was finished, COVID shut everything down in Pennsylvania. How did you handle that?
Well, that was pretty exciting. We renting 30,000 square feet for the last 10 years, and we could certainly service the debt. So we said, you know what, let's invest in ourselves. And we built 60,000 square feet here off of a 63-ton road in Malvern. And it's a great location for our employees. After being in business this long, you can't really disrupt their travel routine in the morning. So we're close to where we were, of course. We were in our building on a Sunday night, putting the final touches on transferring our manufacturing over. On Monday morning, the Governor Wolf said, you know what, we're going things down for a bit. And it was difficult. We go into people's homes every day. When they're waiting for us, their homes are disruptive because their closets are empty. Their clothing might be on their bed, or they might have just moved things around in the garage for us. So it was pretty disruptive for us, and more so for our clients, of course. But if you remember earlier, we didn't really know much about COVID. So it was even more difficult about what was going on here and how we would continue doing business. We offer a lifetime warranty, so we needed to kind of keep that going. And frankly, people are using their closets more and more. So we really had to step it up our game on getting to people's homes if there was any warranty. Kids hanging from doors, swinging from cabinetry at home.
Right.
So this whole COVID thing has, it kind of tossed us a little bit. Our facility, still, we came back with like gangbusters. So right now we don't even have our design center open because we are so busy servicing our clients. Right now, the shoemakers' kids have a few holes in their shoes here.
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that you were able to, like you said, get to the point that I'm sure there was a time when you thought things might not look as good as they're clearly looking for you now with how busy you are. Now, running a business of your size with roughly 100 employees, there has to be a lot of stuff on your mind. So what is maybe one thing that just seems to keep you up at night?
Well, we've had pretty aggressive growth, and I've never felt that we should allow ourselves to get too big too fast where we provide poor service of poor quality. So trying to regulate those together is pretty important to me. It's really paramount. But the one thing that really is on my mind is culture. Doing this business has always been for me a way to create an entity where people could go be part of. It doesn't matter if you run a $300,000 piece of equipment, whether you install Mrs. Smith's closet or Mr. Biden's closet or garage we had. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what customer you're at. You get the same respect from me no matter what you do here. So it's about that entity. It's a place where you can go, be respected, and have opportunity to advance. So it's never frankly been about the closets. Using a play out of your playbook, doing a good job on the closet is just entry feet to the game. So it's given you call design, we're going to do a great job with the closet, but truly to make that experience not painful and for everybody to feel a sense of accomplishment and pride in what they do, it's about the employees first. It's about that culture. So if your employees are happy, that's really the only way to have happy customers. So it's focusing on that culture of knowing what makes your employees happy, no matter what they do. And that's the thing that keeps me up at night is, checks and balances, running that through my head, making sure we have the right culture in place when we get to a customer's house, or that, even through a snowstorm, the guys make, huge efforts to come through snow to get in here to put processed parts through our shop. And we process about 6,000 individual pieces a day through our manufacturing facility. And that's actually done day in and day out with a sense of pride. So and that's what we're all about, that culture.
And like you said, you want employees who want to come to work. You want employees who have passion for the job. And some people naturally have that with what you're doing. And some people, they're going to be more passionate about the culture you create in the team and not wanting to let the team down. So there's two ways to motivate employees. Some are self-motivated by the project and the actual craftsmanship. Some are motivated by just being a part of a great team.
You're right, and we try to offer all those elements. We get customers send us wonderful feedback, forms, and they send us back, customer taking pictures. So our clients are taking pictures. They're so happy about their closet. We've had customers send us letters that they were standing in their closet and tears came down their cheeks because they could feel the sense of calm that came over them with having this done, and we share that with every employee.
Yeah, sometimes I sleep in the closet.
Yeah, well, yeah, or the doghouse, Glenn.
Yeah, either or, right? Can you build me a doghouse?
I was like, do you have a little doggy door in the closet door?
That's right, exactly.
You can take care of that for you.
It is pretty amazing. Along with the culture, it's like you really thought about your employees when you build a new building, and that's pretty amazing. It just shows that you're very employee centric, which is so important in today's business environment, which is really great. And I know, with COVID, and you kind of touched on this a little earlier, but with COVID, snowstorms, and you have increased demand because people are at home and they see what's going on with their closets. And, I'm working from home, Andy's working from home, and we're all saying, you know what, I think I need to do my closet. So you have increased demand. How do you cover that with, the employees that you have and without, losing customers?
Yeah. Well, we've really focused on our installation department of the logistics of putting the installs on a board, reducing drive time, chatting with our employees about increased skill as far as planning the jobs. So we can really save time before we leave here in the morning. So we be more productive at the customer's house. We also have gone to a computer generated platform where the employees can see what's going to be done once they get to the house. That certainly helps. But it's, it certainly is a challenge. We've grown during this COVID situation because people decide, we're home more. Let's go ahead and invest in our homes. We can't go to Disney. We can't go to the Poconos. So let's go ahead and invest in our home. We're going to enjoy it while we're here during the demands of COVID. So it's created, as you mentioned, that extra demand for us. And customers, it's interesting. Myself being a customer in many ways, in general, right now there's a sense of people telling you what you can't have. You can't go here, you can't go there, you can't do this to a number of people. And that's all for safety's sake, and I understand it. But still, as an adult, being told there's places you can't go.
Right.
Our customers are more selective about who they have in their house and what they spend their money on. So they've challenged us to, and everybody to really up your service game, and we have. And so it's been exciting to work in that environment, and we're going to come out of this environment with a better and stronger team.
Yeah, and I know it's been a challenge with the supply chains and things like that. I mean, this year has brought a lot of challenges, so you've been doing a great job. That's awesome.
So Thanks. With that, we are now to halftime, and we take a quick halftime before we get into the second half. The second half is going to be mainly focused on leadership and experience for you. So halftime is a speed round. The way we do it here, it's going to be 10 questions, completely unrelated to Closets by Design, completely unrelated to your normal day. We want people to get to know a little bit more about you. So I'm not going to say you have to have one-word answers, but it's a classic speed round. If you have a quick story for a reason why or an explanation, go for it. If you don't, we'll move on. Are you ready to play the speed round?
I am ready to rumble.
All right, let's go.
All right, Charles. Who is your favorite guitarist?
Al Di Meola.
Now you got to help me. I don't know anything about guitarists or anything like that. Is he
grew up
from a band?
The story goes, well, actually, he plays his own jazz guitarist and came up with a technique because he was embarrassed as a child. His parents are entertaining downstairs. As the story was told to me, entertaining downstairs, he didn't want his parents or his guests to hear what he was practicing upstairs. So he came up with this technique where he muffles the strings with the palm of his hand, and he's fast as lightning. So it's very unique.
Jazz guitar is amazing. You got to listen to it sometime.
All right, Charles, what's your dream car?
It could either be a 58 Belvedere or a 68 Chevy Nova. Either one.
Do you have a specific color for each? If it's a dream car, I'm sure you do.
Yeah, I think if it's a that mint green that they had on the Chevy Nova would be fantastic.
Okay.
The Krieger rims.
Do you have a favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team? Well, of course, it's got to be the Eagles, even when they're losing.
Okay, so there you go. That's a true fan then. Dream vacation that you haven't already took, let's say.
Yeah, it's got to be somewhere in the Alps where I could get on my bicycle and ride over some high passes on my bicycle.
Okay, very cool. What's your favorite movie of all time?
It's I got to say, there's a lot of lines running through my head for obvious reasons right now from Groundhog Day.
Well,
You're right.
And watch out for that first step. It's a doozy.
all right. What is your, again, I always say if you're wrongly convicted, what would your death row meal be?
My death row meal, what would that be? I'm kind of a simple guy when it comes to food. So I would say it would probably be, I'd be the only guy in death row ordering oatmeal with cinnamon and raisins.
Well, that's certainly comfort food. Let's say that. All right. What's the most unique job you've ever had?
Oh, gosh. The most unique job I ever had. And I've had a lot of unique jobs. Just lucky, I guess. Being in a transformer vault, charging a transformer electricity, then needing to short it out and seeing a bolt of lightning jump across the room. And that's when I realized why they had me take my belt buckle off so I wouldn't get zapped. But my hair was standing on my head.
Oh, I can imagine. All right. What is the worst kind of weather in your opinion? 100-degree humid day or a 0-degree go out and get frostbite day? Which one is worse in your eyes?
100-degree humid day. I used to do triathlons in the South Midwest. And boy, we'd go down to Houston and I'd just stand on the starting line melting. Melt with humidity.
Glenn knows I'm a natural sweater myself, so give me cold.
He does snow angels in a bathing suit.
Nice.
Exactly.
Okay, I will spend this whole weekend removing that image from my.
Right.
I'm going to too, and it's about me. All right. If you weren't running Closets by the Design, what would you be doing?
I would be helping people start businesses.
Okay.
Everybody, and a business could be big, it could be small, it could be a charity, but it could be, helping them set up plans to achieve their goals, whether the goals to help others, take care of others, or it's a certain amount of wealth because they need that in the future. I would be helping people start something.
Why do I feel like that might be part of your later life?
Well, I've spent a lot of time in a classroom in corporate America and as a startup coach at another business, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed trying to find out what was important to that person and link the goals of the business to their personal goals. Because, in the end, that's what drives you through the hard days that you're going to have anywhere, frankly, whether you're doing your job or running a business. It's linking it to those personal goals that tug you through the difficult days.
I love that. And finally, maybe the hardest question of the whole thing. If just hypothetically you and Glenn were to go to a shooting range and do a clay shooting contest, who do you think would win?
I would win. I'd be first. Ray Charles would be second, and Glenn would be third.
I'm the most honest shooter, though.
Yeah, so for all you who didn't catch sarcasm, for those of you that didn't catch sarcasm, us three actually shot at a clay shooting course, and let's just say Glenn's the only one that walked home with a plaque for the most honest shooter. We'll let you figure out from there.
Yes.
All right, Glenn, that's halftime. Lead us to the second half, my friend.
All right. Well, from a leadership standpoint, Charles, you have different pillars in Closets by Design. You have design, you have the shop, and you have installation. How important is it for those pillars, so to speak, in your company communicate with each other?
Well, it's interesting because we have a lot of, as you said, pillars, but really, we have a lot of internal customers and suppliers. Where our business is soup to nuts. It's, we, do marketing, the leads come in, we schedule our designers, go out, we answer the phone 7 days a week. The designer meets with Mrs. Smith, designs something, then it comes into the engineering department, and then it's sent over to the computer network to the machines. And then from there, it goes to the installers. The installers, go ahead and install it. And then it comes back around to customer service, maintaining the client for life. So it really is soup to nuts. And to create that continuity, we certainly have weekly staff meetings where we have key performance indicators that we review. And those key performance indicators, there's some that are every week they're repeating. They're just going to be there probably forever. But then there's others that have to do with whatever the current focus is to improve in the business. So we make sure we share those metrics, and we ask questions and challenge each other.
So going to more of an experience for you, I'm a firm believer that every great leader has had a rock bottom. Everyone's rock bottom's different. Some are the bottom of the earth. Some might just be to your basement level. Everyone is different when it comes to that. But I think you learn a lot about yourself when you hit your rock bottom. And judging from where you are now, you've clearly climbed out of that rock bottom. It can be personally, it can be professionally, it can be whatever you're willing to share. Can you just describe a rock bottom that you've had, what you learned from it, and how you got out of it?
Yeah, well, I'm humbled probably daily to some degree, definitely weekly. And I think,
amen.
Being humbled by the situation or by others, I think the key to learning is got to be internalizing that, and then having that humility to work through it. But I think probably it's the times when I purposely step back, and I step back too far, and the culture started to outsource a little. So in the end, there's got to be a gatekeeper for the culture and someone to call timeout when it needs to be timeout, or to throw a flag. Somebody needs to be there, and it's me, and I can't outsource that. I'm the checks and balances.
Okay, I like that. That's more a more unique answer that we've gotten to that question, because I like to ask it every time. That's phenomenal.
Awesome. Now, when you're helping out future leaders, what do you think is a common leadership trait that sets apart the great leaders from the good leaders?
As I mentioned, humility,
Right.
but it is certainly showing that doing anything within your business is not beneath you, because
That's the truth.
shows that mutual respect. So it's 100 employees. Okay, that's a lot of employees, but they need to know that I will do whatever needs to be done, because that's going to make somebody happy. And if they see me doing it, they'll be more inclined to do that with their clients to make them happy, or their internal customer.
That's great advice. It really is. That's a great answer.
To me, I'm going to compare this to sports real quick. If you're on a coaching staff and your head coach is, going home every day at 6:30, and he expects the rest of the staff to be there until 11 o'clock at night, you're going to have some serious culture issues inside of that staff room when things go wrong. So leading by example, doing the bottom level things just to show your employees, if I'm doing it, it's okay if you're doing it, and everything is equally important to make this ship sail.
Yeah, I think Mr. Packard from Hewlett & Packard said management by walking around, but it's more important. It's not the observation. It's a little bit more of that. It's actually engaging.
No
So,
doubt.
And more doing.
by doing. Yes, absolutely.
So from a leadership standpoint, obviously we're talking a lot about that here in the second half. What has been your most rewarding experience as a leader? I'm going to keep it broad. I want you to take it whatever direction you want.
Putting an opportunity in place for people, others, team members to achieve their goals. It's going to a housewarming party for an employee who works for you, who thanks you for, provide an opportunity for them to qualify for a mortgage and get their first house. It's those types of things. So once again, it's doing a great job in a closet is entry fee to the game. It's these types of things that allows us to win the game. That employee, reflects on it, appreciates it, and is going to step up for the client.
I love how well you're using these sports analogies on our podcast. You're prepared, or you're just more witty than Glenn and myself. One of the two.
Well, it's there's really no time just to punt.
There it goes again. So speaking of sports analogies, it's the last question of the game, which means it's our Hail Mary question. And our Hail Mary question is the same one every week because we believe everyone's going to have a great answer for it. So I got called on this, asking this already. So I'm going to assume you're not 22, Charles. Is that correct?
I was once, 2.5 times ago.
Okay. Well,
yes.
The last question, the Hail Mary question on our podcast is, if you had to give 22-year-old Charles Waterman a key to success or one word of advice, what would it be?
Understand your shortcomings and surround yourself with people who bolster those. Learn and observe from them.
That's straight to the point, but it is the key to success. And again, we're talking sports on our podcast. Robert Saleh, the new coach of the New York Jets, he said the exact same thing a year ago at a coaching summit. He said, we all think we're the greatest coach alive, but you have to understand what you don't do well and make sure you're hiring a staff that complements those areas. Don't be so egotistical and don't be, like you said, you have to be humble. Don't be the opposite of that and not understand maybe where your shortcomings are, because then you'll never surround yourself with the correct people.
Correct. And frankly, I would never want to work for me. I would not be worth of me. It's the collective values of everybody that really makes the culture of the company.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Charles, thank you for joining the Playbook. If you'd like to take a minute and tell our listeners about Closets by Design, anything additional you'd like to let them know and how they can get a hold of you.
Yeah. Well, a couple of things is, everything's manufactured right here. And so we don't order any parts anywhere. So we get the job done. And you're right, the supply chain has been a little, as we'll just say, unpredictable right now. But, we've been around long enough to have relationships that we can leverage in order to get the job done in a tough environment. We were taking all the provisions for COVID, and it used to be that customers would send us those comment cards, with how they love their closet. But it's interesting. Now they're actually writing, in their emails and on their comment cards that they really appreciate our employees, following the COVID protocols. So that's nice. People are looking, people are wanting. So we don't take doing it for granted. We do it because we have to, and the customers are noticing. And so it's important. So everybody in this building is wearing a mask right now. And the reason why is because we expect the installers on the job site to wear a mask. And so we're going to, walk the walk. And that's what we do every day at Closets by Design for our employees and the customers.
Yeah, and actually I can vouch for that. I had Nigel out here during COVID. He wore a mask the entire time and followed all your protocols and did an absolutely amazing job.
And he wore that mask before COVID. It was Halloween, I believe.
Yeah, right. We probably don't want to see him without a mask. Some people, the mask helps, right? Well, that's great. Well, thanks everybody for listening. If you'd like to comment or share any suggestions on LinkedIn or any of our platforms, that'd be great. Until the next time, I'm Glenn Amaro.
I'm Andy Phillips.
I hope you all have a great game. Thank you.
Thanks, Charles.
Thank you. My pleasure.